What's up guys, it's Jar, back with another video. I'm gonna be revealing my secret ad strategies for my 7-figure clothing brand. So for y'all who don't know, I own Angelic. I rebranded it from Angelic Motion to just Angelic. You know what I'm saying? That's the new direction we headed in and shit like that. So I'm gonna just be breaking down how I run ads for my 7-figure clothing brand and give you guys the strategies, the tools, the insights of how I go about things. So these are some of my results for my clothing brand. As you can see, I've done 10K days, I've done 300K months, 100K months, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So I believe I know what I'm talking about to some degree. Just to load in an ad account, I'll show you guys one of my campaigns. As you can see here, I've spent a total of $434,000 in just this one campaign alone, with the cost per purchase of, it's not averaging out, but with the low cost per purchase, you can see the ROAS metrics here. So I spent a total of $434,000 on this campaign alone, and then the ROAS with the average of around 2 to 3 ROAS, return on ad spend. So this actually will help my brand scale up. You know, you don't want to rely on organic presence. Organic presence is good to have, but you don't want to rely on it because it's inconsistent, and essentially you're going to be at the mercy of the algorithm. Having that consistency and predictability with paid ads is essential to growing a business. So first things first, you need to log into your ad account, and if you don't have an ad account, you need to create a new ad account. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube, but I'm gonna just dive into the value and show you exactly how I set up my campaigns. So first things first, you need to create a new campaign, right? You're gonna have these different campaign objectives. You always want to choose a sales objective, unless you're like hyping up a drop or whatever. But for 99% of use cases, you want to use sales objective. And then as you can see with this pop-up, all of the campaigns got consolidated into this Advantage Plus sales campaign. So essentially, before you had the option to choose a manual sales campaign versus Advantage Plus shopping campaign, but now they just consolidated it into one campaign. So it's less actions by the media buyer. So Facebook's just further reinforcing and consolidating into that broad targeting and letting the algorithm do the work, because over the years and over billions and billions of impressions and action points, you know, Facebook has learned to optimize and produce the best results. And right here, budget, you want to use campaign budget optimization, so essentially CBO. There's really no use case to use ad set budget optimization unless you're like testing things on an ad set level. For example, like if you're doing product testing, if you're doing some product drops, etc. But 9 times out of 10, you want to use a campaign budget optimization. That way you set the budget at the campaign level and let Facebook automatically decide where to spend money based off the results. And I always recommend of around $100 a day for 30 days straight. The reason why I say 30 days straight is because essentially Facebook needs time to learn algorithm. Each impression that you get and each dollar that you spend on Facebook tells the machine this is the right customer, this isn't the right customer. So spending more money actually makes your ad smarter. So you need to get through that learning phase that they call it, the learning period, before you actually start seeing results. So each dollar that you spend is actually going to help you learn. That's why you need to have a set budget for 30 days and a set amount of money allocated for those 30 days. $100 is the recommendation. If you don't have enough money for $100 a day, get your money up. I ain't gonna lie. The absolute minimum you can do is $50 a day. But any lower than that, you're really not gonna have the ability to learn and optimize with your ads. And then we're just leaving all of this default. Special ad categories, that only applies if you're in these categories. Then we're gonna move on to our ad sets. Here, this is actually where you set up the majority of your targeting and things of that nature. And as you can see, this is the campaign store. This is the recommended setup. Kind of wanna iffy on Facebook's recommendations, because you know a lot of them are incentivized to push essentially what we call last click attribution. Essentially, you get a sale on your Shopify store and the Facebook ad tries to take credit for that sale, regardless of whether they would have purchased without the ad. So you can actually have some incrementality issues with that, you know, so it's kind of a conflict of interest from Facebook's side. That's why it's good to run conversion lift studies and things of that nature to test your incrementality, to make sure that the actual return that you're having on your investment is actually profitable. So moving on to here, conversion, location, website, because we're driving traffic to our website. Performance goal, we're going to use maximize number of conversions. Now you can choose maximize value of conversions, but maximize number of conversions is going to be best for getting that learning. It's going to be best for getting that learning and actual data integrity, because you're getting a large amount of data into the system that can learn from each conversion. Rather than value conversions, it's focusing on more high AOV orders, which is good in some circumstances, but most times you want to be using the maximized number of conversions. Data set, this is where you put your pixel. Conversion event, purchase, we're always going to use purchase. And attribution setting, so Facebook actually just added this attribution setting. It's standard attribution and incremental attribution. So standard attribution and incremental attribution. So back to the point I was talking about, incrementality. So essentially Facebook and their incremental attribution, they're essentially going to be targeting more net new customers. So they're not going to be targeting as much repeat purchasers and people who would have bought already had they not seen the ad. So incremental attribution, it's a new concept and it's a new tool rolled out by Facebook. So there still needs to be more testing done, but I can see this being very useful in the future, especially for prospecting campaigns and things of that nature. But for now, we're going to stick to standard attribution. And then here we have our attribution window. So essentially this defines how your ad attributes a sale, right? So click through attribution 7 days. So if someone clicks on your ad within a 7-day window and buys, then your sale will be attributed to the ad. And same with the engage, view, and view through. So if anyone views your ads in the same day that they purchase, that sale will get attributed to that ad. So this is the default setting. I recommend keeping it default. So if you're running into problems in the future where you're getting a lot of view through attribution and you're having concerns about incrementality, you can run a conversion lift studies and holdouts and things of that nature, and essentially testing 7-day click to see the true incrementality of your ads, because view through can conflate some numbers and inflate some numbers, because just because someone views the ad doesn't mean that they actually had intent behind that ad. So a lot of people like to either use 7-day click, no view through, or even 1-day click. So essentially this is telling Facebook what to optimize for. So if you have a 1-day click attribution setting, then you're optimizing for people who click, then you're optimizing for people who click on ads in the first day and buy in that same day. And 7-day windows just gives you a larger window, and it's better for data integrity, right? You want volume of data, right? So especially when you're just starting out and you have a low budget, you want to have as much data as possible. Budget and schedule, we keep this the same. I like to start ads at midnight. When you're doing your reporting and things of that nature on your Google Sheets or Excel sheets or whatever, you know, it rolls over into the next day, so you can accurately look at what changes affected what. Audience, like I said, they've been pushing Advantage Plus for everything. We're just gonna leave this. They've been pushing Advantage Plus for everything. We're just gonna leave this as default. Now, if you're still using audience targeting in 2025, you are just wrong. There's no reason to use audience targeting aside for a couple use cases, but 99% of times you want to be using broad targeting. Let the machine figure out which customer is best for you. Location, we're going to do United States. Placements, we're leaving this on Advantage Plus on, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So as you can see, we're just letting Facebook pretty much optimize for everything. We haven't really touched anything on the media buying side, right? Because the actual meat and performance comes from the creative, right? So boom, then we go to our creatives. This is basically where you set up your creatives. We're gonna leave everything default. Connect your Facebook page, connect your Instagram account, things of that nature. So we're gonna create an ad here. We're gonna do menu upload. And then we're actually going to use this flexible format. So essentially what this flexible format, it's the old version of dynamic creative testing. So essentially it allows you to test multiple variables in one ad. And the beauty of that is that the ad itself actually learns upon each and every variable in that same ad. So you're actually stacking and compounding your learnings. So we're always going to use flexible ad when we're creating our ads. And essentially we're going to be using the 322 method, which was made by my mentor, Charlie the Disruptor. You know, he talks about this a lot. He works with a lot of 8 and 9-figure brands. So essentially you upload 3 creatives, 2 primary text, and 2 headlines. And basically it'll look something like this. So if I were to upload my creatives, right, I might say, okay, I want to test these 3 creatives, right? Then primary text is essentially your copy, right? So I can use text like this. So that's the primary text. And then we need 2 options. So for primary text, you want to use a new copy, and then you want to use your best performing copy, and then the same for headline. So headline, this is an example, right? So basically you would get different variations of your ad, and then this is just a preview of your ad of what it will look like, right? Then we're going to scroll down. Description, we're not going to use description, because description only shows up on Facebook placements, as you can see right here. And what it does is actually creates more variables. So the 322 method creates 12 possible combinations. So you don't want to have too many combinations because you're actually going to inhibit learning. So each combination essentially creates its own unique ad. So when doing that, we don't want to introduce any descriptions because we're actually going to be upping the amount of combinations that are possible, essentially doubling or even tripling or quadrupling it. And we don't want to do that because it has little to no impact on performance. And it doesn't even show on Instagram placements as well. So URL, you basically put the URL. I like to put it to my collection pages, put a URL here. Advantage creative optimizations, you can leave this on, you can leave it off. I haven't really seen any major impact on leaving it on or off. Call to action, we're gonna always do shop now. And then finally down here, we have our parameters. So if you're using third-party tracking software, such as Triple Whale, which I have, if you're not familiar with what Triple Whale is or does, it helps you attribute your sales to certain ads. So when you're running ads on multiple platforms, so essentially Triple Whale introduces UTM parameters and allows you to actually see the actual sales coming from what ad. So it actually helps you make the right optimizations when you're deciding whether to kill or scale your ads. If you don't have Triple Whale, that's fine. This is only really if you're running ads on multiple platforms. This is very helpful. So we're gonna put our URL parameters here, and then basically this is our ad right here. You know what I mean? So it's gonna have 12 possible combinations. And the good thing that I like about flexible ads is they also create a combination of a carousel. So essentially they'll load all your creatives in one ad as a carousel, but it will also show it individually. So this is just the best way to test your creatives, right? Boom. And essentially this is how we're running ads. And then basically whenever we want to launch new creatives, we're not creating a new testing campaign. We're not making all these campaigns and all these adjustments. We're simply consolidating everything into one umbrella, right? So then we'll just go flex 2, right? Just duplicate that, right? Flex 2, kill that, and then add new creatives, right? So let's just, for example, add this, you know what I mean? And then basically that's how you do it, right? So I'm gonna show you my best performing ad creatives. Just simple ads, right? Just ads that showcase the product in a unique way. You don't want to overcomplicate it when it comes to running ads, because essentially fashion is simple, right? It's see it, like it, buy it. If you have a product that people like, people are going to naturally want to click on it, you know, see if the price is right, see if your brand is trustworthy, things of that nature, and just buy, you know what I mean? The actual creative itself doesn't have that much impact as people like to think. It does have an impact for sure, but not as much as people think, because essentially you had to have the other things in place as well, such as your product, your offer, your website, you know, things of that nature, right? So creative is only one piece of the pie. These are just some creatives that work for me. You know, as you can see, I spent 90,000 on this creative with the $38 cost per purchase with 2 ROAS. This creative right here, let's see this one. This creative right here, just lifestyle videos, you know what I mean? Lifestyle videos, just showing off the product, right? There's no unique thing to do, you know, I'm just showing off the product. So what I found works is, you know, images, UGC lifestyle images showing off the product, putting together a nice fit. Because if you scroll through Instagram and you see something that you like, oh, that's a hard fit, you know what I'm saying? You don't really need that much convincing when it comes to the product itself, you know what I'm saying? See it, like it, buy it, right? So if you see that product and you like it, then you're gonna be incentivized to buy it, right? So just showing off the product in a nice, compelling way. So here's another creative, you know, just simple. It's just showing off, you know, the product, right? And then just sending it to the landing page, right? So those are some creatives types that have been working for me. This one had a 4.81 ROAS. It's just a carousel. It's just simple, right? Nothing too complex about it, right? So when it comes to optimizing ads, whether to kill or scale them, first things first, I like to look at what my MER is for the last 3 to 7 days, see where I'm trending. So essentially what MER is, it's marketing efficiency ratio. So it's essentially your ROAS at a business level. How much did you spend on ads and how much did you make in revenue? So that's a good pulse point to really see, you know, how effective your advertising is and how it's trending. Especially when you're running ads on multiple platforms, you don't really know the impact of certain ads, and then you get to this issue of incrementality and attribution and whole mess. So MER gives you some clarity on whether you should spend more or not. So MER is gonna be the first pulse point. Then you're just gonna look at your cost per purchase and your ROAS essentially, right? So essentially you gotta figure out for each product that you run and each offer that you run, you need to figure out which cost per purchase and which ROAS is profitable for your business and what is your target ROAS and target CPA, right? And essentially, once you figure out your targets, right, then you can make scaling decisions on, oh, I should kill or optimize this ad. And you can basically find that just looking at a break-even ROAS calculator. You know what I'm saying? So if you're selling your product for, let's say, 58 and it costs you, let's say, 20, okay, your break-even ROAS is 1.53. This is just an arbitrary example, but you need to have, you know, all your product costs and all your costs lined up and all your numbers so you really know. Because if you're shipping and taxes and transaction fees and things of that nature actually comes out to 30, then your break-even ROAS is 2, right? So any ROAS that's under 2 is not profitable for you. So like in that case, if my target ROAS was 2, right, now it's my break-even ROAS, then I would just have to kill this ad. That's how you make scaling and optimization, you know, just really knowing your numbers, right? So it's different for every brand. If you have a $100 hoodie, then, you know what I'm saying, your break-even ROAS can be 1.43, so you can actually scale a lot higher, right? And there's some nuance as well, right? Because some ads are going to be more top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel essentially meaning that it appeals to more people, it's more engaging, you know what I'm saying? It's more engaging, it's more native to the platform, it's more organic. And bottom of funnel is going to be more, you know, salesy, more pushy, more closing the deal, right? So for example, so bottom of funnel is typically going to have better metrics, right? So for example, this ad creative right here, 4.81, 3.42 ROAS, right? These are more bottom of funnel creatives, right? Because essentially they're not very pretty or entertaining to look at, right? They're just retargeting ads essentially, right? So people who already clicked on my brand, see my brand, and then they get hit with this, you know what I mean? It pushes them over the edge to buy and purchase, right? So it's high quality audience, higher quality segments, things of that nature, right? So it's essentially a retargeting ad. So essentially, if you kill all of your quote unquote ads that are doing bad at surface level, right, then you'll actually be hurting, because you want to look at your campaign performance overall as a whole, not individually as ads, you know what I mean? So because if you have an ad that gets all the spend but has bad metrics, and then you kill that ad, then you actually might see performance dip, you know what I mean, even though you killed a quote unquote bad ad. So that's where you're getting the muddy waters of attribution and things of that nature. But because it takes a lot of nuance, skill, and experience to really, you know, find out those wrinkles. And as you can see, I've turned out some of these ads and they have quote unquote good metrics, but like I said, I use Triple Whale to really understand which ads are properly getting attributed for sales. And you just run experiments, right? You don't really have to use these metrics, right? Because these metrics inherently aren't telling the whole story, right? You can turn off an ad, wait 3 to 7 days, see the impact of your business. If it's good, then keep that ad off. If your business performance is down, then turn that ad back on. As simple as that, right? Running the experiments. Okay, and other things affect your ad performance other than just your creatives, right? So your product, your offer, and your landing page also affects your performance. You gotta think of it as a whole funnel. When people click your ad, right, the ad only sells the click, right? So a good ad gets someone to click. Your website, your offer, your product does the rest, right? So essentially, when people click on my ad, they go to my website, right? They see, okay, boom, you know, this is a nice website. It's clean, it's aesthetic. It has all the details that I wanna know, right? It has size guides, things of that nature. It handles all of my objections, right? It has nice quality product photos. You know what I mean? It's an optimized website, right? So if you have a more optimized website, your conversion rate on the traffic being driven to this site is gonna be inherently higher, right? So optimizing your website is gonna make your performance better, you know what I mean? And also, so your website plays a role, right? So different products are gonna have different desirabilities, you know what I mean? So like this product, it has all these features, all these details, is more desirable than certain products, other products that I have on my store, you know what I mean? So different products, right? And also the price point, the offer, right? What is your offer? What is the price, right? Because you can have product market fit, people can like your product, but if you don't have that price market fit, you're not gonna get the sales, right? So really understanding what price point to sell your pieces for, you know what I mean? Yeah, so being really aggressive when testing new products, new creatives, new offers, new landing pages, you know, and you can really start to see some real results when it comes to scaling your ad performance. Once again, this is my brand. My name is Jar. If you want more guidance, you want more help, want more one-on-one help with ads, optimizations, learning how to really scale your brand, then you can hit me in the link down below. Have more success, less stress. If not, and you can continue to watch my free content. But yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one.